The star story this week, though, is this infographic. This next to infographic is unbelievable, called Data Center Markets. And they got the 40 biggest, okay? And then we're talking about electricity consumption in megawatts around the world. Okay, so let's just key in on the ones that are over 1,000 megawatts. Let's start in China. You got Beijing, Shanghai. I'm going to count Singapore and Tokyo. They're right around 1,000. Okay, so there's four over there. I'm going to count London and Amsterdam, both pushing 1,000. Atlanta, 1,000. Okay, and then look at the rest. Oregon, 1,600. Not even San Francisco Bay has 1,000. Oregon, 1,600. Columbus, Ohio, very interesting entry at 1,170. Chicago, around 1,000 too. Atlanta, I mentioned 1,000. But look at the whale here in the pond. Look at this. Virginia, 4,700. Wow.
So we're
That's
talking Langley, we're talking NSA and 17 intelligence agencies. And remember, Amazon runs the cloud for that group, right?
yeah,
And they have a
yeah,
joint cloud, right? So what you're looking at is the real data power behind the Anglo-American Alliance,
yes,
funded
yeah.
by US taxpayers. Let's go back to our friend Augustine Parsons, who said, we can make the rules on how your money can be spent and we can enforce them.
And we have the technology to enforce them. Yes,
Right. That is what
yes,
you're looking at.
yep.
It's who has the technology to enforce them. State legislators inundated with emails proposing the Bitcoin Strategic Reserve. Okay.
God help
Hold
us.
on. Hold on to your pants. Hold on to your pants. The Strategic Bitcoin Reserve is a major buying program at both the federal government and state level to buy using taxpayers' money and taxpayer borrowed money. So our retirement savings to start major buying programs of Bitcoin. Okay.
Okay.
And to help the finances of the federal government and the state governments by them stockpiling Bitcoin on their balance sheet as a reserve asset. Okay. Now, hold on. Hold on. So
Um, I feel like I'm Jackie Gleason in Smoking the Bandit too. Sheriff Buford T. Justice. I have a heart condition. I need to meditate.
okay, so let me describe the problem of the Bitcoin billionaires. So if you're a Bitcoin billionaire, you're in a dark market. And what happened to Bitcoin? Bitcoin started out as a global payment system that, if it had gotten widely adapted, would have a lot of utility. I
Yeah.
mean, there's a lot of good stuff about Bitcoin.
Right.
However, that it got hijacked. We'll talk about it when we get to the Solari section.
Yeah.
It got hijacked and instead converted into something that had very high transaction fees, was very illiquid, but was great for pumping and dumping. If you want to run the price up, if you want to run a pump and then a dump,
Yeah.
it was completely engineered to not be a payment system, but to be a pump and dump tool.
Yes.
Okay. And that's working. And it's really working because now BlackRock and Wall Street are in there to help pump and dump it. Okay. And you've also set up a mechanism at the Department of Justice with Coinbase and the US Marshals to seize it. Okay. Now, so we have a very dark market. It has very little disclosure. Gensler's been trying to, among other things, to change that. So it has very little disclosure, very little regulation, but it's highly illiquid. So if
Right.
you're the Bitcoin billionaires and you bought at a penny and you want to sell at 100,000, per Bitcoin, you have huge capital gains taxes, problem number one. But how are you going to get out? Right?
Right.
If this has no fundamental utility other than as a pump and dump tool, how are you going to make liquid your billions of Bitcoin? Right?
Oh,
Big problem in an illiquid market. The one way that I can think of that you can do it is to announce a long-term buying program by government. And that now, but it gets even better because we know there's been talk of privatizing or monetizing or auctioning US land and real estate and mineral resources. So
Howard
like I
Lutnick
said,
talked about it last week
right.
on Money
So we
Markets.
talked
Right.
about it last week. So we have 36 trillion of debt, but we have $500 million of land and mineral
No,
resources.
500 trillion. 500 trillion,
Sorry,
he said.
500 trillion. And
Yeah.
remember, that's the last thing you can plunder. You've taken the 23 trillion, you've taken out the back door, everything you can. Now the debt growth model is over. So now the only thing left to plunder, right, is the land and mineral resources, right? And
That's
people.
eat the carcass.